XHVIC, FM, 107.9 MHz. Estación piloto del Sistema Estatal Radio Tamaulipas, con 10.000 watts de potencia. Transmite desde sus estudios y oficinas, ubicados en calle 8 y Cuauhtémoc, número 125, Colonia Pedro Sosa, código postal 87120, en Ciudad Victoria, Tamaulipas, México.
Bienvenidos, esto es Cobat en la radio, el programa del Colegio de Bachilleres del Estado de Tamaulipas. Comenzamos.
Hello, how are you today? Today I'm here in Radio Tamaulipas. Thank you for the invitation, and I am very delighted to be here today in Cobat and the Radio, a program broadcasted by Radio Tamaulipas to all the cities and towns in the state of Tamaulipas, all the way from Laredo, all the way to Tampico. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Narciso Araujo Albineda, and today's program is dedicated to teachers. And we're going to have lots of fun because we're going to be sharing lots of experiences on what it has been learning online or learning in distance. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the Radio Tamaulipas for having me today. And I want to say happy birthday to teacher Betty Elizalde from Tampico. Happy birthday, teacher. I hope you're having a great time with your family. Enjoy it. And please save me a little piece of cheesecake, all right? So, as you know, on March 17, let's start talking about the topic for today. On March 17, 2020, we started with a lockdown for COVID, and therefore, we started to implement strategies to guide the students in distancing learning. And well, the pandemic has brought us to our lives a new way of reshaping, changing strategies to learn and strategies to teach. And everybody now is learning. Parents are becoming more involved in their children's education. And now we are aware of using the technology for many other things. Even the radio has been one of the resources to learn. And it has been a very different way to transmit knowledge to our students and to have them entertained with the programs and to have them learn in everyday class, online or in distance or by the radio. Well, in today's program, we will discuss on 3 important topics related to our lives during the COVID pandemic. First, we will learn more about the resilience and how it is related to our lives in the pandemic. And then, secondly, we will interview 2 teachers from the Colegio de Bachilleres, and they're going to be sharing experiences on how they have been dealing with the new strategies for teaching English and technology. And finally, I'm going to share some words with you about ideas to cope with the burnout, with the challenges from the new teaching methods and health concerns for the teachers, okay? So, 100% program dedicated to teachers, from teachers to teachers. What a lovely thing, because I think that one of the things that we have been surviving, it's not only the coronavirus, but also the way to deal with our life. This is so interesting. So, pay close attention to the podcast and answer some of the questions that we're going to have. And we're going to be opening the program with a postcard from the BBC. You know, this is one of my resources that I love to use, because the podcast from this webpage, it's called 6 Minute English. They are always with very interesting topics, and they have lots of ideas to implement with our students. And we can use them just like I'm using them today. And they are free, which is the most important, right? You don't have to pay anything for that. So let's start. 3 important questions from this podcast. And the first one is, how do you deal with difficult situations now in the pandemic? But the second question is, why do some people cope better in times of stress than others? What is the difference between being able to cope with the problems and not being able to cope with the problems, or having or spending more time to understanding the problems and dealing with them, right? And the last question is, are we born with resilience or can we learn it? Yes? So this is like 3 important questions that we are going to have an answer from the podcast, so pay close attention, all right? Teachers, take notes because I'm gonna be asking questions at the end, right? Okay, so are you ready? Let's listen to the podcast. Ramiro, I am ready for the podcast. Thank you.
6 Minute English
from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English from BBC Learning English. I'm Rob.
And I'm Georgina.
Now, Georgina, how resilient are you?
Resilient? You mean able to cope with difficult situations. I have a pile of work to do today, but I'm remaining calm and not getting stressed.
Well, that's good. You are showing resilience. And today we're discussing whether we're born with resilience or we have to learn it. But let's talk more about human resilience. There are many self-help books and motivational speakers, all promising us we can learn to be resilient.
Well, it is a useful trait to have, and it's something that can help you deal with many difficult situations, from coping with the pressures of work to handling the death of a loved one.
And it's more than just telling someone to toughen up or get a grip, as Dr. David Wesley knows. He is head of psychology at Middlesex University and talked about levels of resilience on the BBC World Service programme, The Y Factor.
First of all, there's our social supports, our communities, our families, the people who are important to us, the organisations we work for. So one way we can look at resilience is to measure that, the amount of social support available to us. Another way to think about resilience is to think about how we think about the situations we're in. So, for example, one way to look at that would be just to look at how optimistic people are as a guide to how resilient they might be when times get tough. And then a third level that we can look at for resilience is a biological level, how well we can soothe ourselves, calm ourselves down, how well we can actually regulate our own nervous systems at times of distress.
Right, so Dr. Wesley describes social supports, the people around us who we can talk to and support us and generally make us feel better. I think he's saying with more support, we'll feel more resilient.
It's interesting to note that a resilient person isn't necessarily someone quiet who doesn't make a fuss and gets on with things. Some experts think it's people who ask for help and use this social support network who are acting in a more resilient way.
It's a good point. And another level of resilience is how optimistic someone is. Being optimistic means having positive thoughts about the future and believing things will turn out well. A positive mind means you can deal with situations that at first look tough. Another level Dr. Wesley mentioned was our biological level, how our bodies cope in times of distress. Distress is the feeling you get when you are worried or upset by something.
So when we're distressed, a resilient person is able to soothe his or her body and regulate his or her nervous system, which helps them stay calm.
But Rob, the big question is, are we born with resilience or can we learn it? Experts speaking on the Y Factor programme tended to think it could be learned.
Yes, one of them is Anne Maston, a professor at the University of Minnesota. From her studies, she found it was something that we learn when we need to.
Anne Maston talks about how some of the children she studied manifest resilience from the start. When something manifests, it shows clearly and is easy to notice. They remain resilient despite adversity, a difficult time in their life that they have had to face.
Other children, what she calls the late bloomers, started off less resilient, struggled with adversity, but turned their lives around by becoming more resilient. Maybe we can learn resilience from having a bad experience.
Well, one thing Anne went on to say was that families and friends can be a great support and help with resilience. Those that were late bloomers only connected with adults and mentors later in life.
Yes, she says that teachers or parents are role models in how to handle adversity. And children are watching. They're learning from the adults around them by seeing how they react when they get challenged by something.
Now we need to recap the vocabulary we've mentioned today.
Yes, we've talked about being resilient, an adjective that describes someone's ability to cope with difficult situations. When you do this, you show resilience.
Someone who is optimistic has positive thoughts about the future and believes things will turn out well.
Distress is the feeling you get when you are worried or upset by something.
When something manifests itself, it shows clearly and is easy to notice. And adversity is a difficult time in somebody's life that they have had to face.
And that brings us to the end of this discussion about resilience. Please join us again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
6 Minute English.
From the BBC.
Wasn't it? It was so great. It was so great to understand and to learn more about resilience. And there are very nice words from this podcast: adversity, distress, resilience, and optimistic. I think that these 5 words are very important for our topic today. And you know, the content of this podcast made me reflect on how important the job of a teacher is nowadays in the pandemic, because we are the guide to help students to go through certain situations, and we are facilitators of this resilience by helping the students to reflect on their situations, to reflect on the different adversities they are going through, and also to help them to consider different paths or different ways to overcome their problems. So definitely, teachers are also a resource, because we are encouraging students for making a decision, for modeling resilience, and the most important, to promote these competences of facing the problems and adequating the lives of students in different forms. So, you know, every day I listen to parents talk about how frustrating it has been for them, for the kids, for the teenagers, to deal with all the classes every day online or on distance. And they always complain. They go, we have a lot of homework and we have many things to do, and the teacher are just asking for many things and this and that. But you know what? We teachers, we are also humans, and we are also experiencing different difficulties in administrating, in collecting homework, in checking papers, and many other ways. And besides, we are also part of the family, and we have everything together in the same house. So it is quite difficult to us as teachers to deal and to help others at the same time. So it has been incredible how in such a short time, teachers have been quickly moved to bring different ideas into the classroom. They have modified the teaching strategies, and they have done many things to engage students into the learning. And congratulations to all the work that the teachers have done. Very good. I am very proud of each one of you. Okay, and look, today we're gonna have a very special call. It's a guest that we have. I think the telephone call is ready. Is it ready, Ramiro? The telephone? Yes. Okay. So who is in the line? Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
It's Pedro Garcia speaking.
Pedro Garcia.
Yes, teacher Pedro Garcia.
Hello, teacher Pedro Garcia. Nice to hear you, teacher. Tell me a little bit, teacher. Where are you working in this moment? In what Cobat?
I'm working in Cobat 07 here in Reynosa.
Oh, very good, in Reynosa. Congratulations, Pedro. Pedro, I have a couple of questions for you, and I would like to hear your answers, because this is a time to reflect and to listen to the teachers' voices. Are you ready, Pedro, for this interview?
Okay, I'm all yours.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. Let's start with the first question, Pedro. What has been the biggest challenge of distance teaching for you?
Okay, in my personal experience, the biggest challenges in the use of technology, the preparation of a good lesson plan for online teaching, and the lack of motivation of many students. And talking about technology, is because not all students will always have a reliable internet connection.
Right.
Many students don't have a cell phone or a computer for an online teaching. And the lesson plan, because we need to adequate and prepare a lesson plan that helps us most for distant teaching to provide effective distant learning with
correct.
meaningful activities to keep students focused on their learning goals and performance objectives. And finally, the lack of motivation, I mentioned that, because some students feel isolated from the others. A lot of learning is peer-based as students portions and group to work through material. They can do it in distant learning, but it doesn't have the same social impact as working together in person.
Yes, that's right. You got several points there. You mentioned isolation, teamwork. You mentioned also the importance of using technology and to have the technology at home, which is also another of the challenges. This takes me to the second question for you, Pedro.
Okay.
How much time you as a teacher are you investing in preparing, checking, and assessing your students' learning?
Okay. It's much more time than the one we spend in teaching in person. We invest double the time or more. As I said before in the previous questions, the time we spend for preparing the lesson plan duplicates because we need to create activities which have to be with more details so the students can understand what they have to do and don't get lost. For checking and assessing the students' work, we also invest much more time than teaching in person because we are there for the students almost all day, so they can feel that we are aware of the questions they have and the work they send.
Right.
Most of the feedback we do to the students is individual, and it takes a lot of time.
I bet, yes. Imagine if you got about 400 students and you're receiving lots of homework, so that is like a lot of work for you as a teacher. And to be in front of the computer, it's also very tiring. Yes, Pedro, now, how about preparing your classes to teach online? You know that you mentioned that some of the students do not have access to the technology, or they use other resources such as WhatsApp, telephones, and many other ways of connecting with you and trying to share homework or tasks. And you as a teacher, what is one of your biggest concerns about online teaching?
Okay, my biggest concern about online teaching is the lack of support that we face with many parents because their sons or daughters don't show a good attitude or disposition and responsibility with the role they have to play in distance learning.
I see.
The parents do not control them and leave all the responsibility up to us. What I mean is all the responsibilities is for the teachers.
I can understand. So what you're saying is that parents, you need to work with the teachers so students can actually do their work and try to be also responsible parents. You have to be involved in the process of education. That's correct. Okay, Pedro, the last question, because we're going to go to commercials. And Pedro, what have you done to take care of your emotional health as a human?
That's a great question. To take care of my emotional health, I don't take too seriously the things I can't control with my students. Things that is not in my hands to do something to solve them. I also keep myself moving or doing something to avoid bad thoughts and to get depressed. I am always in contact with my students, my colleagues, my family, or my friends to keep my mind busy.
Excellent. And I also know that you are a dancer, a folklore dancer. Do you get to practice your folklore sometime?
Yeah.
That's good.
Physical activity I used it to get rid of the stress.
Very good.
I dance to do it.
Excellent. You should do some online classes for all the teachers so we can dance together with you. That would be a great idea.
It's going to be a pleasure to do it.
Okay. Pedro, thank you very much for taking this call. I really appreciate your words because we have learned many things from this experience that you have been going through during the pandemic. Thank you again, and good luck with your students, and a big hug for you, my friend. Okay.
Thank you for inviting me to your program.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. And
Thank you very much, and I say hello to all my students and all the students in Tamaulipas.
Thank you, Pedro Garcia. Thank you very much. And
Okay.
that was Pedro Garcia from Reynosa, from Cobat 07. And thank you for taking this call. Well, as you can see, many of the experiences that Pedro has had are echoes of our lives as a teacher. He has mentioned many things that are so important, especially related to technology, related to responsibility, to parents. Parents need to get involved also in the process of learning, because nowadays it has been more difficult. Well, we're gonna go into a commercial, and we're gonna return after this short break with another call from another teacher who is also going to share his experience as an online teacher. Thank you very much. We are here in Cobat on the radio, in Radio Tamaulipas. We'll be back in a minute.
...1480 kHz... XEVIC... AM... con 5000 watts de potencia en Ciudad Victoria. Radio Tamaulipas.
Hemos estado en semáforo rojo casi todo el año.
Y aunque sabemos que ha sido un año lleno de problemas y retos,
es momento de seguir adelante. En RSP nos identificamos con las mexicanas y los mexicanos que siempre tienen el semáforo verde para ingeniárselas y salir adelante.
nosotros somos una red ciudadana progresista que, como a ti, nada nos detendrá para llevar a México adelante.
RSP, súmate a la red progresista y vamos juntos adelante. Entra a redessocialesprogresistas.org.
Somos la nueva fuerza política de México. Llegamos para impulsar la fuerza de las y los jóvenes, la fuerza de las mujeres y la igualdad, la fuerza del medio ambiente. No somos ni de izquierda ni de derecha, somos centro progresistas. Somos el partido de la fuerza de miles de mexicanas y mexicanos, como tú y como yo. No venimos a pelear, sino a construir con fuerza. Súmate y lograremos con fuerza un México que es más grande que sus problemas. Fuerza por México, el partido fuerte de México.
¿Te acuerdas de...?
Pero te peinas, ¿eh?
En 30 años, cada vez que nos peinamos para la foto, renovamos nuestra credencial y votamos, las y los ciudadanos junto con el INE construimos una democracia sólida, con elecciones libres, donde todas las voces se escuchan. Hoy estamos preparados para la elección más grande de nuestra historia, que se llevará a cabo en 2021.
Contamos todas, contamos todos. INE.
Este país solo funciona con nosotras y nosotros. Lo aprendimos recientemente. Todas las personas somos necesarias para sacar este país adelante.
En las elecciones más grandes de la historia hay más de 21,000 cargos de elección popular. Todas y todos decidiremos quiénes los ocuparán.
Toma tu cubrebocas y sal a votar. Que este país lo hacemos funcionar las y los ciudadanos.
El voto sale y vale.
Contamos todas, contamos todos. INE.
Calidad, servicio y compromiso. Calidad educativa al servicio de todos. Liderazgo y compromiso por la educación. Somos Factor de Cambio. El Colegio de Bachilleres del Estado de Tamaulipas te invita a sumarte al cambio. Soy mejor, soy Cobat.
I am the best. I am from Cobat. That's the logo. That's the slogan for our today's program. Also, the Colegio de Bachilleres is a pleasure to be here today. For those who have just joined us in this program, we're talking about the different ways teachers have faced the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are carefully listening to the voices of the teachers in this new adventure of teaching on distance. And we have another call. Yes, we have another call from another teacher who is also going to participate today. And let me see who is in the line. Hello? Who is this?
Hi, I'm Elias from Cobat 14, Camargo.
Hi, Camargo, Texas, right? Almost Texas. Almost Texas, but it's not Texas, it's Tamaulipas. Hi. Hello, Elias. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today.
It's a pleasure for me too.
Okay.
I can hear you very well. I can hear you very, very far.
Okay, let me get a little bit closer to the microphone. Is that much better?
Not really.
Not really. Ramiro. Okay, so Ramiro is going to fix that little problem. Let's see. Elias, I have a couple of questions. And first of all,
okay.
I know that you are teaching English, but
yes.
Also you are teaching technology in the Cobat Camargo, right? So you're teaching both subjects. So you're the teacher of technology and English. And I can understand that both subjects require students to practice the skills in order to develop the skills, right? So
yes.
The first question for you...
Well, most of them have to use, because they are online, they have to use a computer or at least a cell phone, to take the classes and to do the exercises that all of the classes have.
I see what you mean. So, for you as a teacher, what has been the hardest parts about moving your classes online?
Well, for me, I think it's not being in the classroom.
Okay.
I enjoy being there with all of my students. There's a different vibe that you just can't get when you are online. You are behind a computer. You're not really there with the students. So I think that would be the hardest. And also that the internet that I have, well, where I live is very, very, how can I say, deficient.
I see.
That would be the word.
Okay. You know what, Elias? You're right. I mean, the word that you mentioned, just to be in front of the class with the kids, is a different experience. And I think most of the teachers miss that. Even though, I mean, we have all kind of students, but at the end, we enjoy to be there in the place, right? It's like our second home, isn't it? So, this is like the second question for you, Elias.
Okay.
How do you think students have adapted the learning skills in order to learn and to try to learn more English, to try to learn more about technology? What had been some of the adaptations that they have done in order to cope with the classes?
Well, how my students have adapted? Well, I think, at least here, not too well. Well, most of my students do not have an access to the internet. Most of them don't have a computer, or they only have one cell phone per family, and I feel that they are constantly stressed about that, because as you know, it's kind of difficult because they have to upload the exercises to the platform, so they are having a difficult time, especially right now that we are closing the semester, and that I think that they didn't adapt too well, but
right,
probably next semester. I hope so.
I hope so too. Yes, that they made some changes in order to cope with all the activities they have to do. Elias, before the receiving you call, one day we were talking about also the difficult situations that students have suffered, and you told me that you modified also the way of delivering activities, and you prepared some printed handbooks, yes, for the students to do the tasks. But you also told me that some students needed to work and they didn't have the time to.
I cannot hear you very well.
Okay, let me. Okay, it's okay. I was saying that you also told me that you modified some of the strategies and you printed some handbooks. Is that correct?
Some what?
Some booklets.
Yes, I did some of them, but they didn't work too well. But they are there because they are, how can I put it? I did most of the topics that we see on the semester, and I did part, most of the work is on the platform, as is it should be. But for those that do not have access to the internet, I make some kind so they can do the exercise and they have the same, let's say, points for the ones that you upload to the platform, and the others, they have the same points if you do them on the booklet.
I see. I see. Well, those were like your adaptations to deliver all the material to the students,
Yes.
which is good, which is
Yes,
a good
I try
strategy.
to do that.
Okay,
But some of them, well, some of the students didn't do well online and didn't go for the booklet. So it's not all of them, but some of them.
Okay. Now, Elias, this is my last question for you. And this is a very important question, and I would like to hear what about your experience. Is there anything you would recommend to the rest of the teachers in order to handle the work distress?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I... Is it okay?
Yes, go.
Well, what I do, well, I just work out a lot. I used to exercise, but because I was in my house all the time, I will say for them to start working out or to, get some exercise. I think the only positive thing that I got from this pandemic was that I lost a bunch of weight, about 10 kilos, because I started running and working out more because of the stress of being at home all the time, So that's what I did. I feel well. That's what I will tell them. Just exercise more.
That's good. And what kind of exercise do you practice?
Well, today, I'm running, I'm lifting weights, and I am practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too.
Okay. And also, you're having a good time with your family. I heard that you have 2 kids, right?
Yes.
That's good. And how he has been like to be there all the time for the kids?
How what?
What is the experience like? Just to be like a 24 hours dad.
Well,
yes.
I have a 6-year-old, and he's in elementary, and it has been a kind of difficult, but it's fun because he learned how to read, how to spell, and that's new for him, and I'm there to help him. And I have a baby too. I don't know if you didn't know, right?
Right.
Or you did?
Okay. I didn't know.
I have a 1-year-old too, and well, he's with us, with my wife and his brother all the time.
Okay.
So we're spending more family time.
That's good, right? That's good. At least you are taking advantage. Yes.
And what?
You're taking the time to spend more time with your children, which is good.
Yes, of course.
That's great. I'm very happy to hear that, Elias, that you are a 24 hours dad, totally. Yes? That's great. Okay. So you will have time to everything, for Cobat and for the family, which is good.
Yeah, I schedule everything. At this time I'm doing this, and from this time to this, from this hour to this hour I'm doing this other thing. And it's important to always have time for the family.
Excellent. You're making a great balance of your life. This is important, and that's one of the things that I'm going to mention later on the program. Well, Elias, thank you very much for accepting my phone call. It has been very interesting to chat with you about the ways that you have been handling the pandemic. And thanks again, and we hope to see each other very soon.
We hope so.
All right. Okay,
thank you for taking the time to call me.
Sure, anytime, my friend. Thank you, Elias from Camargo, Tamaulipas. Ramiro, thank you very much for this call. Thank you, Elias. And Elias has given us like lots of ways to handle life, and it has been very interesting in the way, like he mentioned something very important: time organization. He says, I am doing this from my work, and then I move into family time, and then I do exercise. So he organizes his life in a way that he's coping with the pandemic in a good, well-organized way. And the most important, he is spending time with family, which is also something that we as teachers need to do and not to forget, because we are having the role as a parent, having the role as a wife or husband and a teacher, and everything is all mixed together in the same place. But we need to be able to have time for everything. And well, this has been a great experience and talking to the teachers, because we have learned a lot from them. And we have learned that every single person has a different way to deal with the pandemic. And this is important. This is about resilience, about adapting our new way of living and coping with the problems and facing them, not ignoring them. Like Pedro said, I don't have control about many things, but whatever I can do, I will do it properly in order to take care of myself, which is so important. Well, we're going to go into a commercial, and we're ready to go into a commercial for the second time. And after we return, we're going to be talking about some strategies that I want to share with you, and in order to continue like having this life, keeping safe, but the most important, taking care of our mental health as a teachers. Okay, Ramiro, we're ready to go to commercials, and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you.
La Secretaría de Educación Pública, a través del Instituto Nacional para la Educación de los Adultos, invita a las mamás, papás, abuelas y abuelos que siguen las clases por televisión con sus hijos o nietos a iniciar o terminar sus estudios de primaria y secundaria. Contacta a las mesas de atención a distancia en la página www.gov.mx o llama al 800-0060-300. Aprende en Casa 2, Educación para Adultos, Instituto Nacional para la Educación de los Adultos, Secretaría de Educación Pública.
Si tienes 15 años o más, el CECATI 101 de Ciudad Mante, Tamaulipas, te ofrece los siguientes cursos: Administración, Estilismo y Diseño de Imagen, Uso de la Lengua Inglesa en diversos contextos, Confección Industrial de Ropa, Asistencia Educativa Inicial y Preescolar, Cuidados Cosmetológicos Faciales y Corporales. Mayor información en cecati101-inscripciones@hotmail.com. Teléfono 831-232-7698.
La Universidad Politécnica de Victoria cuenta con las siguientes ingenierías: mecatrónica, sistemas automotrices, tecnologías de la información, tecnologías de manufactura y la licenciatura en Administración y Gestión Empresarial, y en modalidad bilingüe, ingeniería en tecnologías de manufactura y la licenciatura en Comercio Internacional y Aduanas. www.upvictoria.edu.mx 834-171-1100 extensión 2210. UPB, tu mejor opción.
¿Qué son las técnicas de estudio? Las técnicas de estudio son herramientas que puedes utilizar para facilitar el aprendizaje en la comprensión lectora. El subrayado es una técnica que consiste en resaltar con un color visual llamativo aquellas ideas principales de un texto que tienen un significado especial. El subrayado implica la diferenciación de las ideas principales y las ideas secundarias que hay en él. Antes de realizar el subrayado debes leer y comprender la información. Puedes repasar el texto leyendo únicamente aquellas partes del mismo que han quedado remarcadas.
Okay, so we are back with our program at Cobat on the radio, and thanks for listening to us. Today we're talking about the different challenges teachers have faced during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this program is dedicated for the teachers, and it comes from the teachers. All the echoes of our voices as a teachers. We are also going through a different situations at home and handling this pandemic in different ways. And this is what we are sharing today in our program. And I want to read some of the messages here, and I want to say hello to Neida Yepes, to Betty Elizalde. I say happy birthday, Betty. Happy birthday to you. Okay? And Lisbeth Hernandez, it's Cobat 07. Brenda Sanchez Picasso. Hello, Brenda. Is a teacher also from here from Ciudad Victoria. Yaretsi Martinez. Hello, from Cobat 9. And we also have Said Lopez, Daniel Villarreal, Arlette Rivera from Cobat 7, Emily Olivares, Brenda Palomino, okay, another student, Gabriela Ramos, and she says, thank you for the opportunity to talk about our struggle. I know, Gabi, it has been this moment is for all the teachers to open up and to share feelings about this situation. And hello, Gabby. And Guadalupe Lizalde, René Canales Jr. from Cobat 9, Francisco Javier Montanes Benito Olmos. Wow, we got lots of people. Ileana Enriquez Valdiosera and Lupita Maciel. They are formal, I would say, they used to work for Cobat. Now they are retired, enjoying the life. What a wonderful thing. Congratulations to Ileana and to Lupita Maciel. A big hug for both of you. Okay, and we also have here Consuelo Cano. Hi, Consuelo. She's listening to us. She's from Tampico as well. We got many teachers, many friends who are listening to this radio program. I'm very happy that you all are learning something. And not only from me, but also from other teachers. So let's continue talking about this important, stage of our lives. You know, I am a teacher. I started to work in 1999, a long time ago, about 20 years ago. And actually, I don't know, Ramiro, who is here in the radio, I think he was my student as well, right, Ramiro? You were not my student? No? Okay. So many people have been my students in my experience as a teacher. And you know what? Now that we have made many changes, it has been very interesting to see how we have been implementing technology in our classes. When I mean technology, it's about using everything possible that is in our context. Cell phones, yes, booklets, like Elias mentioned. We also use Google Classroom. We also use Zoom, Google Meet, many things that we have been doing and using in the last months as a teachers, because we want students to continue learning, to share, and to learn more, and never to stop learning, which is good. This is that makes us good educators, because we are teachers. We make a difference in the student's life. And that's, I don't know, but I'm very passionate about being a teacher. And this feeling that I have is in this moment, we are showing the world that we also have the power to make a change in the life of others. And something important, teachers, something important. We have to be able to build resilience. It's very important, because we have listened to these teachers talking about the ways they have coped with the COVID-19. And I have to tell you that you as a teacher, you are not alone in this adventure. We're just handling the things in a different way. And the last part of this program is about building resilience, and I am going to share with you some strategies or some tips to do so. And I'm taking this from different blogs and different websites and from the original webpage of the American Psychology Association. And when we think about resilience, it's about the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, or when we are facing significant sources of stress. And I think that in this moment, we are going through a lot of stress, because we are trying to contact the students who haven't delivered the work. We are trying to check all the papers that students deliver at the end or at the last minute. We are trying to deliver grades to the administrators of the school. We're trying to deal with our children at home, because they are also have to do the homework. They also need help from you as a parent. We have to take care of the family matters. So, there are many things that are happening in the house, and we as a teachers, we have to take care of them at the same moment. And this is a big challenge for us. So, I don't know if you have had the chance if you have flown by airplane. When the flight attendants, they are given specific instructions, they always say something like this: should the cabin lose pressure, oxygen mask will drop down from the overhead area. Please place the mask over your own mouth and nose before assisting others. Wow. if you take these instructions as part of your life, you have to reflect that the basis of these instructions and the why they carry so much weight comes from the idea that if you don't try to help yourself first, if you don't try to do it, and if you just go and directly help the other or the one next to you, and you failed, both you and the other are going to suffer. But if you take the time to help yourself first, you put the mask, you're going to be in a better position to help the ones around you. Because you are taking care of yourself first in order to assist the others. Wow. These incredible lines make me reflect that sometimes those feelings that to help the others, the emotions, the problems, and many things that they are going through, you have to be like really strong in order to give that hand to the others. In the point that if we are not ready to help the others and we are not able to help anyone effectively, then we are going to be also under that stress. So it is important, according to the American Psychology Association, to first take care of yourself. This will help you to keep your mind and your body in well conditions to deal with any situations that require assistance. And when I say requiring assistance, is helping your husband, helping your children, helping your students. But first, you have to be that strong to help the others. So one of the key elements in this is that when you are building resilience, you're able to, or you have to be able to focus first on self-care. This is so important. Now, what activities can you do to take care of yourself? And I'm gonna talk about 4 activities. First of all, the first activity is working with others. It is really helpful to feel like you are part of a team in this moment. If you and your colleagues get together and you come up with ideas and different ways together to help students, work is less frustrating. So, guys, do not pretend to reinvent the wheel. Let the others also be part of your life. Let the others help you. Try to find sources that are available for you. In this moment, it's a moment to work in teams. Principals of schools, you need to be good leaders. You need to get your team together to find solutions to common problems. It is a time to show leadership. And remember that not all of the students, because sometimes we struggle that, fulanito hasn't sent me any homework and I haven't heard anything about sutanito and this and that. Elias mentioned that. We do not have the same access to technology, so we have to be also empathetic. We have to find other ways to help our students to deliver such work. And never to forget that in this moment, some students are going through also different problems. Maybe they don't have enough food to eat during the week. Or maybe, you know what, they don't have food, they don't have money to pay the bill light. Or maybe they have someone in the hospital with COVID. You don't know. So you have to also be able to help other students and understand the way that they are handling this situation. Second point. The second point, it's about making connections. And I have to be very clear on this one because you have to find the way and you have to find the time to make connections and to make stronger relationships with your family, with friends, with community groups, co-workers, and because all of them are going to provide you with that social and emotional support that you need to deal with difficulties. a couple of months ago, I was talking to a teacher from Matamoros, and it was a Saturday night, I remember, and it was about 7 p.m., and she was like a little bit frustrated, and she said, oh, you know what, my family are having a barbecue, and I'm here checking all these papers and this and that, and I started to laugh, and she's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because sometimes you need to stop and just go and enjoy your family time. Papers can just wait for a moment. And you know who you are. So this is a moment sometimes to stop and just spend time with the family. Or contact your friend, your colleague from work in lunchtime and prepare some flautas together and do a virtual meeting, a virtual lunch, and talk about family, talk about other issues so you can relax a little bit. Just like you used to do it in the school time. Third point, you have to keep a routine. Keeping a routine for yourself can include things like watching an episode of your favorite program, listening to music, painting, gardening, exercising. Spend some minutes for you so you can enjoy that time. I remember that I have a great model of routines. It's Mr. Cesar Chapa. He was a coordinator in Reynosa a long time ago, and he always started his day by walking 30 minutes on the backyard. That was the way he started, and it was a moment for him to reflect and to be prepared for what was coming in the day. Congratulations, Mr. Chapa, because I learned a lot from you. We must understand that working from home and having a family life at the same time, in the same plane, in the same place is quite difficult. So sometimes we feel like overwhelmed because we got a lot of work to do. So therefore, it is important to find ways and to find specific hours to dedicate time for work, family, and you. Don't forget, you. This will help you to be emotionally stronger, prepared to help others, prepared to do your job. One day, one teacher from Tampico, she called me and she said, Narc, I'm going to share my new number. I'm like, why? You changed numbers? I say, no. From now on, I'm gonna have two numbers. One for personal matters or family, and the other one is gonna be my number for all the students who do not have access to Google Classroom and who need to send homework via WhatsApp. They can send the homework anytime, but I have a specific time to answer the messages and to deliver grades. And I was like, wow, that's a great tip. Two phones, but one specifically for work, and she will answer only in a specific time, just like if she was going to school. That's great. She's separating her family time with the work time. Very well done. And you know who you are. You are listening to me today. So this is like a different way to deal with the problems. So we need to set a specific time to the routines for the activities that we do every day. And don't forget, find 10 minutes, 20 minutes to do the things that you really enjoy, that will help you to emotionally be great. Okay? And the last tip that I have to share with you, it's about finding support. You are not alone. If you feel that the lockdown has affected your emotional health and there are several situations out of control in your life, it is time to ask for help. Call a friend, call a colleague. Share your feelings and your emotions about the specific situation that you are going through. Sometimes we don't need advice. We just need an ear to listen, a heart to understand us. Don't be ashamed of calling and ask for help. It's okay. Remember that academics in this moment come in second place, because what comes on first is your mental and your emotional health. Don't forget, happiness is a matter of choice, of choosing. You have to be able to choose if you want to be happy, because like Pedro says, I don't have control of many things, well, but I have control to be happy. So make a choice. make a choice. And don't forget to work with others, make connections, keep routines, and if you need it, ask for help. These are good practices to take care of yourself. And that will help you to be emotionally strong to help your students. Guys, thank you. Thank you very much for listening to me today. And I hope that this word that I'm sharing with you is going to be for something positive in your life. I love you. Take care. And let's continue taking care of ourselves, staying at home, and being safe. Thank you. Ramiro, thank you very much for your time. And this is it. I love you guys. Be the best. You are Cobat teachers. Well done. God loves you, and me too. Thank you.
Esto fue Cobat en la radio, el programa del Colegio de Bachilleres del Estado de Tamaulipas. Los esperamos en nuestra próxima emisión. Gracias.
Quédate en casa. Quédate con Radio TAM.
Este es el reporte COVID-19 en Tamaulipas.
La forma más efectiva de frenar la transmisión de COVID-19 y la nueva variante que se caracteriza por su alta contagiosidad es permanecer en casa el mayor tiempo posible, utilizar el cubrebocas, lavarse las manos frecuentemente y respetar la sana distancia, aseguró la secretaria de Salud, Gloria Molina Gamboa. Al presentar el balance de la pandemia, la funcionaria estatal informó que durante las últimas 24 horas fueron confirmados 202 nuevos casos y 23 defunciones asociadas al virus. Con ello, la cifra oficial asciende a 42.914 positivos acumulados, de los cuales 36.389 se han recuperado y 3.489 han fallecido. Los pacientes fueron confirmados en los siguientes municipios: 2 en Aldama, 8 en Altamira, 37 en Nuevo Laredo, 2 en Antiguo Morelos, 18 en Ciudad Madero, 38 en Ciudad Victoria, 3 en El Mante, 1 en Gómez Farías, 1 en González, 2 en Güemes, 1 en Hidalgo, 2 en Llera, 2 en Reynosa, 2 en Río Bravo, 1 en Soto la Marina, 12 en Matamoros y 27 en Tampico. Mientras que las defunciones fueron 2 en Reynosa, 7 en Matamoros, 2 en Nuevo Laredo, 3 en El Mante y 1 en Victoria. La titular de la Secretaría de Salud reiteró su llamado a evitar movilizaciones innecesarias y atender las medidas de prevención ya conocidas, en virtud de que se prevé una oleada de contagios asociados a festividades decembrinas y a la circulación de la nueva cepa que se originó en Gran Bretaña, de la que ya se ha confirmado el caso de un viajero internacional. Gracias por su atención.
Recuerda, quédate en casa.
En esta temporada invernal, cuídate y protégete del frío. Infórmate sobre el pronóstico del clima. Al salir de lugares cerrados, abrígate bien, cubre nariz y boca. Consume alimentos que te aporten calorías y vitaminas A y C. No enciendas anafres dentro de tu casa. Ubica el refugio temporal más cercano a tu vivienda y acude en caso necesario. Durante esta época de invierno, la prevención es la mejor recomendación. Protección Civil, Gobierno de Tamaulipas.
XHVIC FM 107.9 MHz. Estación piloto del Sistema Estatal Radio Tamaulipas con 10.000 watts de potencia. Transmite desde sus estudios y oficinas ubicados en calle 8 y